Everyone loves to listen to a good book, and there are so many wonderful ones to choose, so we decided to bring you this podcast of Stories Come to Life. Each episode features a story from either classic or modern literature, especially chosen to be interesting and exciting to hear. So sit back, relax, and listen to this story come to life. Welcome to Stories Come to Life. I am your host, Kathryn Lopez Luker. Today's stories are two African folk tales, retold by Baba Wague Diakite, that represent some of the principles celebrated during the holiday of Kwanzaa. In both The Magic Gourd and The Hunterman and the Crocodile, Baba Wague shares the principles of collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, faith, and creativity. At least, I can identify those ideas in these wonderful tales, but you might find other principles as well. Baba Wague came to Pocatello as an honored visiting author several years ago. He is a delightful person and a talented artist. It is with pleasure that I share two of his stories today. Now sit back, relax, and listen to these stories come to life. The Magic Gourd, a West African folktale, retold by Baba Wague Diakite. It all began when the sun refused to allow the clouds to gather, and there was no rain. First came drought, then came famine. Everyone was hungry. And it was then that Brother Rabbit wandered around the parched countryside, searching for wild roots to feed his starving family. As he walked, he sang, Feyeku, wara sukunte. Luck will come, life will be good. Suddenly, Rabbit was interrupted by a sweet little voice that called out, Dokozan, Dokozan, rescue me from this thorny bush. My arms are being poked and scratched. Help me, and I will pay you well. Rabbit was busy, but he stopped. I will help simply to avoid seeing my brother suffer, said Rabbit. Gently he lowered his hand between the thorny branches and saved the green chameleon. As Rabbit turned to leave, Chameleon called out to him once again, Dokozan, don't go yet. Would you mind getting my gourd from the bush too? A gourd, cried Brother Rabbit. You want me to scratch myself again for a little gourd? Please, Dokozan, begged Chameleon. I will reward you well. Again, Rabbit's kind nature got the best of him, and he bent into the thorny bush and rummaged around. Rabbit brought out a beautifully decorated gourd and handed it to Chameleon. But Chameleon just said, Keep it, it's your reward. It's just an empty gourd, Rabbit cried. It's not just an empty gourd, Chameleon replied. It's magic. Ekodi, cried Rabbit, a magic gourd? Oh, yes, said Chameleon. Watch this. Magic gourd. Fill yourself up with insects. Brother Rabbit watched in amazement as Chameleon licked up a bowl full of insects. Why are you giving me such a valuable gift? Rabbit asked. You were kind to me, Brother Rabbit, Chameleon said. Besides, I have my own secret for catching insects. And he quickly unrolled his long tongue for Rabbit to admire. Rabbit thanked Brother Chameleon and rushed home with his gourd. As soon as he arrived home, his entire family gathered eagerly around. An empty gourd? They all gasped in disbelief. It's not just an empty gourd, said Brother Rabbit. It's a magic gourd. Watch this. Magic gourd, he said. Fill yourself up with carrots. To their astonishment, the gourd magically filled with carrots. Happily, they ate them all. Magic gourd. Fill yourself up with couscous, he said. Again they ate until they were satisfied. Magic gourd. Fill yourself up with water, he said, and they drank deeply. From that day on, Brother Rabbit's family drank and ate well. But as much as they wanted to keep the magic gourd a family secret, they also could not sit and watch friends and neighbors suffer. So they invited them to share their meals every day. And this is how word floated around from one to the other until it came to the house of Mansa Jugu, the greedy king. One day, the greedy king and his soldiers broke into Rabbit's compound and forced the little gourd away from him. Now, with the magic gourd in his possession, Mansa Jugu sat day and night, commanding the little gourd to fill and refill with more and more gold. Meanwhile, unable to get the magic gourd back, Rabbit returned once again to his poor life, scrounging for wild roots to feed his hungry family. Despite the hardships of the moment, he still had courage to sing, Feyeku, wara sukunte. Luck will come, life will be good. One day, hunting for roots, Rabbit heard his name being called again. Dokozan! Dokozan! Recognizing the sweet little voice, he turned and looked in all directions. Slowly the chameleon came into view, right next to him, on a sparkling green rock. Dokozan! What has happened to you? Cried Chameleon. You look skinny and pathetic. Rabbit told him all about the greedy king who stole the gourd. Again, Brother Chameleon offered a gift to Brother Rabbit. This time, it was the beautiful crystal rock he had been standing on. What is this, Brother Chameleon? Asked Rabbit. It is just a fara, a little rock. As soon as the words came out of his mouth, the rock leaped into the air and bounced off his head. Ee! Fara! Cried Rabbit. Stop! Stop! Again, the rock knocked his head. Excuse me, Dokozan, said the chameleon. You must call him by his name, Faraba. With that, the rock dropped silently to the ground. Rabbit thanked Chameleon for this unusual gift and returned home. The next day, Brother Rabbit rolled the rock in a fresh shio leaf and walked to the king's palace. I have brought you a mysterious gift, Your Majesty, said Brother Rabbit. Aha! Mundon! What is it? Asked the king anxiously. Rabbit slowly unrolled the rock from the shio leaf and showed it to Mansa Jugu. Eh! Faradoran! Exclaimed the king. A simple rock. And with that, the little rock began ricocheting off the head of the king. Atoo! Atoo! Stop this rock! Cried the king. But no one could capture it. All day and all night, the little rock played music on the heads of the king and his soldiers. The annoyance continued and the king became troubled. Mansa Jugu was finally forced to call on Rabbit for help. Cleverly, Brother Rabbit demanded the gourd back first. You may take all the gold, but leave me the gourd, said the greedy king. But the gourd was a gift to me, replied Rabbit. Then take all my food from my royal storage bins, but leave me the gourd, cried the annoyed king. Do so da, let us bargain, countered Rabbit. My little gourd is my prize. The king angrily shouted, Oota! Oota! Take it all! Take the gold, the food, and the little gourd. Rabbit took the gourd, but left the food and the gold behind. And before he turned to flee, he shouted, Faraba! Calmly, the little rock dropped into Rabbit's hand. Fearing revenge from the king, Rabbit's family escaped to the country to join their faithful friend Chameleon. From Chameleon's great lessons in disguises, Brother Rabbit learned the skill of hiding in the bush. Today, Dokozan and his family are masters at going undetected. One could be hiding in your backyard right now. Mansa Jugu, the greedy king, and his soldiers felt embarrassed by their defeat at the hand of a rabbit and a small rock. The king could not believe that in his moment of weakness he had given away the wealth of his kingdom. Exhausted and hungry, the king sat down to eat before pursuing Brother Rabbit for revenge. Upon opening his storage bins, he was surprised to discover that all his wealth and food remained. "Come eat," he called to his soldiers and servants. "Let us appreciate what we've been given." From this final kind act of Rabbit, the greedy king, Mansa Jugu, began to learn the importance of generosity and friendship. As for Rabbit and Chameleon, they have always understood that loyal friendships are the true treasures that make one rich. And for their many good deeds, all sang a song of praise to Rabbit and Chameleon. Here is the song of praise. A person may have a beautiful hat, but still he may be unworthy. A person may wear beautiful clothes, yet still he may be unworthy. A person may wear beautiful shoes, yet he may still be unworthy. A person may have a pocket full of money, yet, if he is unworthy, he has no wealth. This praise song may have been the one that was sung to Rabbit and Chameleon at the end of the story. It explains that material wealth is not important, but spiritual wealth is a person's most valuable possession. When we compliment, appreciate, and respect one another, we create a better community. A person will die, but the spirit of his or her good deeds will live forever. The Hunterman and the Crocodile, a West African folk tale, retold by Baba Wague Diakite. There was a time when Bamba the crocodile took a pilgrimage to Mecca with his family. They traveled and traveled for many miles, but when their food and water diminished, and then finished, they became very tired and hungry and could barely walk. Luckily, they found some sweet shade of a baobab tree and settled down to rest. Soon, Donso the Hunterman was walking in the bush and was surprised to discover the crocodile family. "Bamba," he said, "why are you so far from the river?" "Good intentions brought us here, but our food and legs gave out," explained Bamba. "Can you return us to our home in the water?" "Mook," said the Hunterman, "you crocodiles are very well known for biting people in the river. I will not take the chance." With that, the crocodile wept and gnashed his teeth and swore in the name of all the creatures that he would not harm the Hunterman. And Donso finally agreed to carry them to the river. "But how shall I do it?" Donso asked. "Oh, that is simple," said Bamba. And he instructed the Hunterman how one carries 4 crocodiles on top of one's head. Donso pulled some rope from his hunting bag and tied the crocodile's feet together. He stacked them, one on top of the other, very neatly, then hoisted them onto his head. Once at the riverside, Bamba the crocodile begged Donso to carry them deeper into the river, where the current ran strong. But when the Hunterman did so, Bamba took Donso's hand between his great jaws and smiled. "You know I haven't had anything to eat in a long time," he said. "Wouldn't I be foolish to let you go?" The Hunterman reminded Bamba of his promise, and then they argued at great length about right and wrong. Soon an old cow came to the riverside to drink, and Donso begged her to help him. But the cow only said, "Mook, I will not interfere. Man does not respect others. Look at me. I spent my life providing milk and giving up my children to man. Now that I am old, man gives me no consideration. I don't care if Bamba eats you." Then the old cow turned and walked away, dingy-donga, 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 with no guilt. Next, an old horse came to the riverside, and the Hunterman pleaded for help. But the horse said, "Man is weak. I used to help him plow his fields and haul big loads. But I was only beaten for my helpfulness. Mook! I would be foolish to interfere. I should let Bamba have you." After taking a long drink from the river, the old horse turned and walked away, ketaba, 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 with no guilt. Next came a chicken, wondering what all the fuss was about, and Danso told her. "Mook, mook, mook," she said. "You do not deserve my help. Man takes my eggs, my children, and when he is very happy, he and his friends feast over my body. Bamba, eat him if you like." Ruffling her feathers and scratching up dust in the direction of the Hunterman, she turned and walked away, co, with no guilt. Next, an old mango tree that stood quietly by the riverside spoke up. "Man does not deserve my sympathy," she said. "Each season when I bear my sweet children, he takes them all. When he is tired and hot, he enjoys my shade. But how does he repay me? He cuts my limbs, and when I become too old to help him, he will surely cut me down and burn me. Mook! Let Bamba eat him," she said. And she waved her branches in the breeze, sha, 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 with no guilt. At last, Rabbit, the most clever animal in the bush, passed by. When Danso begged for help and explained his predicament, Rabbit laughed out loud. "How can someone put such a big and long load of crocodiles on his head? I don't believe it's possible." "But it's true," Bamba insisted. And to prove it, Bamba and his family all came ashore with Danso the Hunterman, and showed Rabbit just how it was done. When Danso had tied the crocodiles securely to his head, Rabbit said, "Ho, ho, ho! Here you are, Hunterman. Now you can take your crocodiles home to your wife to make a great meal." Danso was so grateful to the rabbit for his turn of fortune that he invited him back to his village to join in the feast. As they neared the village, they found that Danso's good fortune had changed once again. A fellow villager greeted them and regretfully informed Danso that his wife had fallen gravely ill. The healer of the village had searched everywhere for the tears of a crocodile to help cure the sick woman, but there were none to be found. When Danso heard this, he began to cry, for he loved his wife dearly. Then he lifted the heavy load from his head and addressed Bamba the crocodile. "Let these be the last tears any of us shed today, Bamba. I will release you and your family in exchange for a few of your tears." With this, the crocodile family shed tears of joy, which the Hunterman gathered quickly in his drinking gourd before rushing home to save his wife. Danso never forgot the lessons he learned from the cow, the horse, the chicken, the mango tree, and the rabbit. From that time forward, he has reminded people of the importance of living in harmony with nature and the necessity of placing man among, not above, all living things. The end. I am your host, Kathryn Lopez Luker. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Stories Come to Life. Be sure to join us next time when we continue to listen to different holiday stories. You can find a link to our podcast on our website, www.marshallpl.org. I'll talk to you again soon.